Okay, today's daf, Be'ez Hashem, is daf Ayin Zayin. We're going to begin on this the week. We're going to Be'ez Hashem finish the Seder Nashim and Masechta Kiddushin. Says the Mishnah, Bas Cholol Zochar. Again, a Cholol, just to review, is if a Kohen marries a Grusha, right? A Kohen's not allowed to marry a divorcee. They have a son. He's not a Kohen anymore. He's called a Cholol, which means he loses his Kedusha of Kuna. So if that he's not he's like an empty. Cholol means empty, right? So he's empty of his holiness, Kahuna. If he goes ahead and gets married, his daughter Pesulam in a Kuna cannot marry a Kohen. Okay, you got it. A Cholol Zochar, a male Cholol, the boy marries a Yisraelis, of course. That daughter is puzzled to marry a Kohen, la'olam, forever. Now, no matter what, it's gonna. No matter how many generations later, that all the girls are going to be puzzled to marry a Kohen if the father is a Halal. However, let's say it's the opposite case. Yisrael shenasa Halala. A Jewish Yisrael married a Halala. Again, a Halala means the Kohen had married a Grusha. He wasn't supposed to, and they had a daughter. So if Yisrael marries a Halala, that daughter, Bita Kisher Lekana, that daughter is kosher to her Kohen. That daughter is kosher to the Kohen. Only the male can passel the daughter, but if the female is the halala problem, then the bitay is kosher lekuna. Cholol shenasa bas Yisrael. Then the Mishnah says a cholol that marries a bas Yisrael, which is basically the first case, bas cholol zaka, but it just repeats it. Bitay psula lekuna. The daughter is passel to kuna. Now, Rabbi Yehuda says we're going to have three opinions over here. Very simple. Rabbi Yehuda says bas ger zocher. Let's say a convert marries a Jewish lady, right? So their daughter is kebas cholol zacher, is like the daughter of a cholol. That means that daughter cannot marry a Kohen. Rabbi Lezer ben Yankov says no. If there's a Yisrael in there somewhere in the mix, then the daughter is kosher lekahuna. So Trump's daughter married to Kushner, it's Yisrael shenasa gioris bita ksher lekahuna. Yisrael that marries a Gioris, his daughter is kosher to kuna. The Ger shenasa bas Yisrael, if it's the other way, bita kesher lekuna, the daughter is kosher to kahuna. Avo, but when do you have?
I said you're a big, strong guy. I said hit him.
Oh,
hit that ball hard, and he did.
And then Runoff says he did hit it when it's clear. I don't know if it hit him, but Runoff definitely.
So Avo, but ger shenasa gioris. If a ger marries a gioris, bita psula lekuna, the daughter is puzzled to kahuna. Okay, so that makes it when a ger marries a gioris, then the daughter cannot marry a Kohen. Until they have one, until there's a mother Yisrael, if there's a Jewish lady in the mix, then the daughter can marry a Kohen. So that's Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov's opinion. Rabbi Yossi is the lightest opinion. Av ger shenosa gioris, even a ger that marries a gioris, bitoy kesher lekahuna, the daughter is kosher to marry a Kohen. So even if both parents, the mother and the father, are gioris, gerim, the daughter could marry a Kohen. My la'olam. So the Gemara says the bas cholol zocher cannot marry a Kohen, right? The father is a cholol, the mother is a Yisraelis. As long as the father is a cholol, as long as the father keeps, if they have a son and that son marries another Yisraelis, continues on forever. Mahu this why? Mahu the same. I would have thought mida hava a mitzvah avdoini, that this should be similar to the case of Mitzri and Adoimi. We know that a Mitzri by the third generation they already permitted to come into Klal Yisrael. So Malahalan, I would have thought Lacha Shloish Dairis. After 3 generations, the Mitzri and Adoimi are permitted to marry into the Jewish Klal Yisrael. Afkanami. So I would think that a Cholol, after 3 generations, this Isser goes away, and that daughter could finally marry into a Kohen family. Lacha Shloish Dairis. It could go away after 3 generations. Kamash Malam, no. It stays forever. As long as the father is a cholol, and no matter how many generations from the first cholol, his daughter will not be permitted to marry a Kohen. But the Mishnah said, Yisrael shenosa chalala. If the Yisrael marries a chalala, remember the father is a Yisrael and the wife is a chalala, then it's permitted. Why? How do I know that? Yochanan said, it says that when let's say a kohen marries a divorcee, so that their zaroi, their children, become chalolim. So the Torah is telling you, don't do that. Because if you're going to do that, your children are going to become chalolim. So and it says later on that lo yitama bal ba'amov. The Torah tells us that a kohen who marries a grusha, right? So he cannot attend the funeral. It's an illegal marriage, so to speak. So it's only if a kohen has a nice wife and it's a legal marriage, then it's fine. But if the kohen marries a divorcee, he has the same din. He's not allowed to be metama to her. So it's very similar. Just like over here, we're talking about the men, not the women, not the females. So also, chalolah, it only applies when it's a male, when the father is a male and the wife is a Yisraelis, so the chalol, then the daughter becomes a problem. But if it's the other way around, Yisrael, that marrying a chalolah, then since the problem is with the female, it wouldn't contaminate, so to speak, their daughter. So the Gemara says, if you're going to say like that women can never become a chalalah, then why don't you say Elmeata Bitisha Kohen Gadol Tishtri, the daughter of a Kohen Gadol? That means the Kohen Gadol married an almana, and a Kohen Gadol is not allowed to marry an almana. That daughter should be not considered a chalalah, should be able to marry a Kohen, because you're telling me that the din chalalah only applies to men and not to women. So the Gemara says, no, I didn't say that. Miksiv b'noi, does the Torah says that when the Kohen engages in an illegal marriage, he apostles his son? That would mean it only apostles the males. Zaroi ksiv, it says it apostles his children. So therefore, that's right. Lo yichalel zaroi ba'amov. It says lo yichalel zaroi. Don't destroy your children, whether it's male or female. So then the Gemara asks back, okay, if that's the case, then bas benoi tishteri, then the daughter of his son, that's not the cholol who's having if the cholol marries a bas Yisrael, that should be permitted, because that's already the second generation. So the Gemara says, ksiv lo yichalel zaroi, mak zaroi loy, mahu bitoi psula, av benoi bitoi psula. We compare the cholol to him, just like him, his daughter, just like the original person, the original kind that did the illegal marriage, his daughter is pasul. Af benoi, so the boy that comes out of this illegal marriage, his daughter, bitei psul, would pasul the daughter. So then the Gemara asks back. So the first generation of this illegal marriage between the kohen and the grusha pasuls the son and pasuls the daughter, because they're both chalalah. So why is it a difference when you go to the second generation? Only the son transfers the contamination of halal to the next generation, and his daughter is pasul for a kohen. But if it's a girl, it doesn't transfer that tumah, that halal, into the next generation. Bas bitoy titza. So the Gemara says, "In Cain she'ershav ma'hanalo." Then what's the gzeir shava telling me that it implies by males and not females? So the bottom line, though, the Gemara just walked away here is that everybody agrees that when a kohen marries a grusha, let's say, the son or daughter are called chalal or chalalah. But to transfer that to the einiklach, to the grandchildren, only the male can transfer the chalal part, the bad part, to the daughter and to the son, to the grandkids. So therefore, the chalal who marries a Yisraelis, his daughter becomes pasul to a kohen. But Yisrael, the opposite case, Yisrael marrying a chalalah, it seems that the way the Gemara learns that it will not transfer because of the Gzeir Shava. So it will not transfer. It will not transfer to the next generation. Cholol shenasa bas Yisrael bita psula. The Mishnah seemed to repeat this idea. A cholol marrying a bas Yisrael, the daughter's pasul. Again, the male marrying the male cholol marrying a female bas Yisrael. Says the Gemara, Hatani le'reisha. Didn't you say that bas chol in the beginning? Bas cholol zaka psul b'rakun lo'ila. That's the first case of the Mishnah. So in the third case of the Mishnah is exactly the first case of the Mishnah. So the Mishnah says, no, I did the Tana Reisha Yisrael Shenasa Chalola, since the second case says it in this way, Yisrael marrying a Chalola, Tana Name Sefer, so we repeat it in the third case in the opposite way, Chalol Shenasa Bas Yisrael. It was probably a way to remember the Mishnayos, so they sometimes repeated themselves. Says the Gemara, Masnisen, our Mishnah, the Loik of Rav Stoi ben Yehuda, our Mishnah is not like Rav Stoi ben Yehuda. I knew we learned in the Brisa, Rav Stoi ben Yehuda says, Kishem shebnei Yisrael mikveh tahara lechalolos. Everybody agrees that if the husband, the man is a Yisrael, and the wife is a chalola, the children are kosher, right? Kach b'nois Yisrael mikveh tahara lechalom. So also, if the girl is a Yisraelis and the father is a chalol, the girl will be like a mikveh to the father, and the kids will be pure. So our Mishnah doesn't say that, obviously. Our Mishnah says if a chalol marries a bas Yisrael, the daughter is pasul. Rabbi Destoya says, no, anytime there's a Yisrael in the mix, there is no chalol transfer. My time with Rabbi Destoya, Rabbi Yehuda, what's the reason? Amakra, the pasuk says, lo yichal zar ba'amav. He darshans that the only time a chalol could transfer that chalala problem to the next generation, if only you have both. They're both the same. That the chalal marries a chalala, then the child is a chalal. But if one of them is a Yisrael, it will not transfer. So our Mishnah does not go like Rabbi Destoy ben Yehuda. Taner Rabbanan, rabbis taught, it says don't make a bad marriage, Mr. Kayan, because you're going to make chalalim out of your kids. Ainli Elazare. And I know that you made a bad marriage out of your kid. He atzma manayin. How do you know you're turning her into chalala? In other words, let's say a kohen marries a grusha, and they have relations. So now the child is a chalal. Everybody agrees. But let's say that kohen dies, so she's an almana, right? She's an almana. Will she become she? Not only that, she could become a chalala. Let's do it this way: a kohen gadol marrying an almana, right? And so it's illegal marriage. Does she herself become a chalala? So that even if the kohen gadol dies, no other kohen can marry her, even though a regular kohen is permitted to marry an almana. But the problem is she became a chalala because she was illegally married to the kohen gadol. How do you know that takes effect? Amrit kal v'chomer. It makes sense. The children of that union, of that illegal marriage, that become mischalel. The wife who did the avera, of course she should become a chalala. So the Gemara says that's not true. Who atzma yechia she'avra avera mischalel? The husband who did the avera doesn't become a illegal, doesn't become a chalala. Let's say the kohen gadol married an almana, so he did an illegal thing, right? But if he decides to give her a divorce and says, I want to break up this relationship, he could still be the kohen gadol. He never loses that kedusha. So why don't we say the same thing, that the wife doesn't become a chalal? So the answer is ma lehu shekain ein mischalal b'chol makom. You can't compare her to him because she can never become a chalala in any place. But she could become mechalelis b'chol makom. She has the possibility to become if she could become a chalala even without children. For example, if a girl is mizana with a goy, she becomes a chalala. So we will say, just like if she's mizana with a goy, she becomes a chalala. So we'll say also that if she has a bad marriage with a kohen, an illegal marriage with a kohen, she would also become a chalal. And that's the proof. If you still have a problem with that, I'll have a pasuk. Lichal zare. Torah says the children become chalalim. Lo yichulal zesh ayikar Not only the children, but even the wife who is at one time kosher. Once she has an illegal marriage with the kohen, she becomes a chalal. So the Gemara asks, "Mayim nafshech laima." What forced me to bring a pasuk when you just laid it out pretty sensible with a kal v'chomer? If the son is a chalal, the mother should become a chalal. The son becomes a chalal because the whole creation of that boy or girl was done by avera. She illegally married the kohen or the kohen gadol. But how do you know she becomes mechulal? She herself becomes a chalala. Okay. Tanarabanim. Ezehu chalala. What makes a chalala? That means a chalala is a type of lady that cannot marry a kohen. What makes a type of lady? In every illegal marriage, if there's an illegal marriage, then that daughter is a chalala, cannot marry a kohen. My psulim. What do you mean? Ilem psulim loy hare machse gerushasoi the psulim loy ubenak sherim the ksib te'evahi he te'eva ve'em b'nehal tevim. I'm going to give you an example of illegal marriage where a man who is married to a lady gave her a divorce. She married somebody else. She got divorced from the second guy. Now he takes her back. So that's an illegal marriage called machse gerushasoi. Nevertheless, the Torah tells us she did an avera by remarrying her first husband, but the children are not repulsed by God. So there's no chalalim over there. There's nothing wrong with those children. The children are kosher, even if they have a daughter that daughter can marry a kohen. Amar Rav Yehuda explained. Amakra the pasuk says, "Ezi hachikam." This is what the brisa means to say. Ezi chalala. What makes a chalala? Kol shenoldim mipsul kahuna. If the illegal marriage had to do with a kohen, so that means a kohen marrying a gerusha, that would make a halal. Nol the end, only if they have a child, that makes halalim. Loy nol the lay, you cannot become a halal if you weren't born a halal. Hare almana grusha zayin the loy nol the kahave halal. All these things, almana grusha zayna, they weren't born as a halal. If they illegally have relations with a kohen, they could become a halal, right? Amar Rabba said, so hachikama. Ezehu chalal muskeresh loy hoysu shas koisha klal. Kol shenoil noilda min apsul kohuna. That which one is so definitively clear in the Torah is called a chalal. Mein muskeres, Rav Yitzchak bar Oven hachikama eze chalal ikra midivrei Torah. The ain't tzrika lefarish midivrei sofrim. Kol shenoilda min psulei kohuna. What is called a chalal? The children of an illegal marriage done by a kohen. Yes, agreed that the illegal marriage not only passes the children, but also makes the lady a chalala, but that's only because we make a kal v'chomer. It doesn't really say that in the Chumash. The Torah says, lo yichalal zaroi ba'amav. Only the children will become chalalim. It's only through a kal v'chomer we say she herself. That's what it means. And it has to do with an illegal marriage of a kohen, but not every illegal marriage. A machse gerushasei type of marriage will not render the lady or the children into chalala. Nu Gemara, Tan Rabbana, almona. Okay, you have a kohen gadol. He's not allowed to marry an almona. If he took 3 almonas, ein chayv ala achas. That's strange. If he took 3 almonas, he only gets 1 avera. Grusha. A kohen hedyet is not allowed to marry a divorcee. If he takes 3 divorces, 3 divorced ladies, ein chayv ala achas. He only gets 1 avera. How's that possible? Almana grusha v'chalala zoyna. If you have an almana who has then became a divorcee, then she became a chalala by illegally marrying a kohen. Okay, she was the almana. She got divorced. Her 3rd marriage was with a kohen, which made her a chalala. And then after getting rid of her husband, the kohen, she was mezana with a goy. Let's say. If she has all these titles and it came in that order, algamana first, grusha second, chalala third, zoyna fourth. Next time she marries a kohen, the kohen gets 4 averas. Zinsa v'nischala v'nisgarsham nisamal. If you go in the reverse order, then ein chayiv ala achaf. If she first was a zayda, then she became a chalala, then she became a grusha, then she became an almana. So then she only gets 1 avera. So now let's repeat the brisa and try to explain it. Amama. We learned before almana ein chayiv ala achas. You have an almana. And it's 3 types, the 3 people. You're not chayiv, only 1. What's the case? The Kohen Gadol had relations with Ruvain's almana, Shimon's almana, Levi's almana. She had relations with 3 different ladies. And why are you chayiv only 1 avera? We go to Amid Beis. Hare gufa muchalakim. They're separate bodies. Hare shemus muchalakim. They're separate names. They're different people. So why you get 1 avera? Ella shabah almona acha shalosh biyas. You took 1 almona, and he did it 3 times. 3 times he had intercourse with the same almona. So you get only one avera. Hechadami. If he didn't get a warning, that makes perfect sense. You only get one avera because you only got one warning. If they gave him a warning for each time he did bia, and they said, don't do bia again because you're going to get an avera, why do you only get one avera? We learned in the Mishnah, if a nazir was drinking wine the entire day, he only gets one avera. But if they tell him al tishta, they tell him don't drink, he drinks. So then each time he's drinking gets an avera. So if we're talking about a man, a kohen gadol, who had one almana, and he did bia the first time, and they told him don't do it, and he does it a second time, and they tell him not to do it, and he does it a third time, he should get three averas. So why did the Brisa say he get only one avera? And says the Gemara, like tzricha, we need it. Shabah al almonis rivim, shais almonis shimim, shais almonis levi. Wow, we have this lady who she herself was an almana 3 times before she married the kohen gadol. So the kohen gadol did one bia, but this lady was an almana 3 times before. So maybe the kohen gadol who had one bia should get 3 averis because she's an almana 3 times over. She was an almana of Reuven, and almana of Shimon, and almana of Levi. Mal the same Hare Shemesh Mechlakim. She was 3 times over an almana. He needs 3 different people, not one almana who was an almana 3 times, in order to be chayev on each and every time. The Gemara continues. Almana grusha chalala v'zayna. We say that if the lady first was an almana, then a grusha and a chalala v'zayna, you get 4 averes. Hi Tana Ma'isava. What is the Tana? What is the opinion of this Tana of this Brisa? Iksava isachal al iser. If he holds that one iser could fly on top of another iser. So although it's also for a kohen gadol to marry an almana, but if she's a divorcee, so then there's 2 averes on this lady. So then if the Tana holds that iser could come on to another iser, you could tack on isurim, right? So then ipchanami. So even if it went in the reverse order, if the Zoyna came first and then the Chalala Grusha Almana, you should get 4 Averas. And the Brisa says you only get 1 Avera if it's in the reverse order. The Kusava, if the Brisa holds Ein Isachal Isa, once something is Usr, you can't tack on another violation because it's Usr already. So the Torah you're not going to add on another violation. So then if we hold that, I feel like say the Nami, then if it went in this order, Almana Grusha Chalala Zoyna, you should only get one. You should only get 1 avera, right? So why does the Brisa say you get 4? Rava answered, Hi Tana, this Brisa holds Issa Chalal Issa Lesla. He doesn't. This part of the Brisa does not hold Issa Chalal Issa, but Issa Moisef Islay. When you're adding something to the lady that was not there before, then you could add the Isser on top of that Asr Isser. So the Gemara explains it out. Almana Asur l'kain gadol. Almana is also to a kain gadol, v'shayir l'kain hedya. So once she was an Almana, she was only also to a kain gadol. Then if she married somebody else and she became a grusha, now she becomes also to a kain hedya. So that grusha Isser can now fall on this lady. Havila grusha, since she became a grusha, migadi taisif la isur legabe kain hedyet. Since she now becomes also to a kain hedyet, taisif la isur legabe kain gadol. Then she becomes also again because of a grusha to the kain gadol. So if the kain gadol would have relations to this lady, he would get 2 averis: 1 because she's an almana, and 2 because she's a grusha. V'adayin shayil mechel truma, but she was still permitted to eat truma. Because as long as she wasn't married to as long as she didn't get married to a kohen gadol, so she's still permitted to eat truma. But let's say she married a kohen gadol and became a chalolah, migay the taisef isur lamechal betruma. Now that she's now also to eat truma, taisef isur legabe kohen gadol. So then now she becomes another isur for the kohen gadol. So now there's 3 isurim on this lady. But now that she became a Zoyah, let's say she had relations with a guy, why did you tack that on? What prohibition is more now to Kahanim that she did not have before? When she became a Chalal, she can't eat Truma, but now if she became a Zoyah, what more can you penalize her with? Amar Chana Barav Kitina, Hoyel v'Shem Znus Paisel b'Yisrael. That once you called a Zoyah, if she was a real Zaina, that let's say someone, a married woman who had an affair, she would now be usher to her husband, right? So the same znus is always something more, adds another level of prohibition to this lady. And therefore, if she became a Zaina, now we'll tack that on as well, even though this way, the way she became a Zaina was Mizana with a guy, but still, the word Zaina always tacks on another prohibition. So again, if a Kohen Gadol is Mizana, marries this lady, he gets 4 Averis. He married Almana, who became a Grusha, who became a Chalala, who became a Zaina, he will get 4 Averis. One last Gemara, and then we'll stop. Another minute. Tana Kamed Rav Sheshes. The Tana taught before Rav Sheshes. Kol shu b'yikach harei b'lo yikach. Kol she'ene b'yikach ene b'lo yikach. Prat l'kohen gadol shbo al choisei almana. If the Torah says that the kohen gadol has to take a besula, a virgin, then the Torah says he cannot take an almana. So we say that only if the lady, if she was a virgin, a besula, the kohen gadol could have married her. So when she becomes an almana, the kohen gadol gets an avera for marrying an almana. But let's say it's a type of lady, the kohen gadol had no chance of marrying her. For example, his sister. So, and whose sister became an almana. So if the kohen gadol married his sister, who is an almana, he will only get the avera of the sister, but not the avera of almana, because she's an almana. Amalei. So Rav Shesa says, the Amalachmani, who says this brisa? Rav Shimon he. So the man said it's Rav Shimon, this brisa. The Amma ain't Issa Chalal Issa. Once she's the sister and she's also to the Kohen Gadol, you can't say, oh, now she's an almana too. The Tanya, we learned in a brisa, Rav Shimon Oima, Hoichel nevela b'yam kippurim. If you eat nevela on Yom Kippur, okay, it's nevela. You're not allowed to eat nevela even when it's the weekdays. Now it's Yom Kippur. The Rav Shimon says you're potter. You're potter because ain't Issa Chalal Issa. It's the same idea. The Issa Almana does not fall on the Issa of a Chaysa. The Rabbanan, if you want to say it's the Rabbanan, Ha'amri Issa Chalal Issa, the Rabbanan do hold Issa tax on to Issa. So the Brisa must go according to only Rav Shimon. Says the Gemara, Filatem Rabbanan. You can say the Brisa goes even according to Rabbanan. Ki Am Rabbanan Issa Chalal Issa. When the Rabbanan say that Issa does fall on another Issa, Ha'amini Issa Chomer al Issa Kal. If it's a severe Issa, could fall on a light Issa. Like you're saying, the Yom Kippur should fall, the Issa of Yom Kippur should now be tacked on to the Issa of the Vela. Yom Kippur is Kares, the Vela is Malchus, so the Yom Kippur could fall onto the Vela. Aval Issa Kal, Issa Chomer, Loi Chayil. But to say the Issa Almana of a Kohen Gadol not marrying an Almana should fall on his sister, well, the sister is an Issa Chomer, it's already there. So you won't say a light Issa will fall on the severe Issa. Concludes the Gemara, Ikadiyamri the other way. Hamani Rabbanim. The author of the Bryce is Rabbanim. The Amri Issa Chala Issa. Chitab Rabbanim Issa Chala Issa. When the Rabbanim say Issa Chala Issa, Hanimi Issa Chomal Issa Kal. Al Issa Kal, Al Issa Chomer, Loi Chayil. Even the Rabbanim will agree that it won't be work. The Rab Shimon, if the Brisa went according to Rab Shimon, Hashta Issa Chomal Issa Kal Loi Chayil, Issa Kal Issa Chomer Liboya. You don't have to teach me this, that there's no Issa Chalal Issa. Kohen Gadol Baal Chayso, you only get one Avera. Of course, Rab Shimon will hold that. Says the Gemara, no, not so. Maybe Rab Shimon would say, I would have thought that the Bryce is Rab Shimon, and it's a novel thing to Rab Shimon to say that the Issa Almana will not fall on a Chayse, because the Issa Almana is a unique Issa of Kohen. And therefore, maybe that Kohen's severity would fall even if it's on his sister. That's why the Chiddush of the Bryce says that it would not affect him. So a Kohen Gadol, concluding, a Kohen Gadol who has relations with his sister, who is Almana, he'll only get one Avera. Okay, we'll stop over here.
Okay, thank you so much.